Hi, Thomas C. Chavez with The Compass Way, and I recently did a couple of videos about the idea of metaphor, and it occurred to me that I could continue because metaphor is everywhere. Metaphor is what we do in dreams when we look at ourselves and look at what we have been dreaming. We notice, when we get really good at that process, that many times one thing in a dream represents some idea or some other thing in our life. And the connection is sometimes through a joke, through a situation where a sound brings in an idea or some other connection that isn't straight across logical. It is metaphoric. And so when we actually look at the ailments in our bodies, we will actually find that many times some of the ailments that we've developed perfectly legitimately, physical damage, are metaphoric for some real problem in our psychologies. I can't tell you how many times you will find someone who has a real creaky elbow and it won't work, and you look in and that difficulty unbending will show up in a difficulty unbending in their attitudes toward life. And the attitudes came first, and the elbow came later. And yet they are out-picturing in a metaphor. We all do some variation of this. As I have looked at my life, and I have been busy developing the Compass Way with the community that has been working all together. I get to be spokesperson a lot, but not totally. I'm more noisy than a lot of people, so you get to see me more often. We notice that once we are down deep into the self, where we are truly living in grace, hopefully for hours and days at a time, everything starts to look like a metaphor for everything else. And the metaphors go in all directions. And so that the whole of being is an openness and an opportunity. One way that this metaphor shows up, this metaphoric sense of being in grace shows up, is to look at how we experience time. We tend, when in either getting along or self-protection, those two compasses in the Compass Way, to see time as coming out of the determined past. It's been this way, boom, 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 and moving into the determined future. It shall be this way because it was that way, and the railroad tracks are laid, and the train it can't jump the tracks. And there we go. One thing after another, and it's measured on the clock. And that is really emphasized as we're getting along, trying to make things happen, trying to make things come out the way we think, the way we intend, the way we need to survive, to be happy, to be loved. Because we're, in getting along, looking to be loved because we aren't love. And so it's a missing in our lives. And yet, when we dance freely in the compass of grace, we are no longer in that kind of clock time. The Greeks had a word for that as chronos. The Greeks also had a word called kairos. And kairos is time that is open and dances and is now and is this moment, the exact right moment for whatever it is that takes place. And kairos flies and swirls in the wind. So when we move into the compass of grace, we move from the metaphor of Chronos, which is named for a Greek older god, the elder gods, the Titans. Chronos was the father of the fathers, and he ate his own children in order to keep power. And it was, Zeus, who was his last child, who was not eaten, who then overthrew Chronos. But all of that Greek myth has tremendous metaphoric impact in terms of the archetypal psychology of the human race. Nevertheless, when we move from getting along to being in grace, we move from Chronos to Kairos. We move from being dominated by an all-devouring God to a God of openness, playfulness, rightness, and perfection right now. Isn't that fun? It is who you were born to be able to choose any time that you wish to live for a moment, for an hour, for a day, for a lifetime, in Kairos, in grace. Please, learn your choices. Study the compass with